Hi, Let's Go friends, it's Miss Amanda. I'm going to walk you through how to build a basic circuit today. So I have my breadboard, I have my Arduino Nano microcontroller that today we're just going to use as a power source, and I've got my materials. So before we start, I have up here a diagram of the finished product, and I also have down here my document camera where you're going to see me build the circuit live. Right? So to build our circuit, we need our breadboard. We need our microcontroller that we are using as a power source. You need 3 jumper wires. And remember, the colors don't matter. The colors are just there to help you differentiate. They can be any color. You want an LED, and you want it to be just a regular LED, not an RGB LED. And you want a resistor. And you want a resistor that has a pretty low resistance. So the ones that we had in our boxes, these were the 2 that we had. And you want the one that has a gold stripe on the end and no black. So this one has brown, black, yellow, gold. I know it's a little hard to see on this camera. And then this one is yellow, purple, purple, gold. So we want the yellow, purple, purple, gold one. I'll use the other one too just to show you the difference as we're going. So we have this finished diagram up here that matches our little Arduino exactly. And the first thing we want to do is connect a jumper wire to the power, which is that 3V3. So on your controller, on the bottom here, if you hold yours like mine is, there's this empty spot, and then 1, 2, the second pin is where your jumper wire is going to go. And you can see that on this diagram up here too. It is on the second pin. Now we're going to connect the jumper wire to the positive power rail, and that's the path our electricity is going to flow on. So make sure it's in that positive top red rail. Okay, I'm going to slide my board over so we can see more of the middle. So now I want to put the resistor. The resistor is going to go in the positive power rail, and then it's going to jump across to the main part of the board. Remember, when you're putting your components in, to try to get them in as straight as possible and don't wiggle them around too much so they become dislodged or bent. Now we're going to add the LED. So we're trying to light it up. That's the whole point of our circuit. So remember that LEDs have 2 legs, a positive leg and a negative leg, and the positive leg is always the longer one, and that is the one that's going to always be towards power. So I always remember it: positive power, positive power. Okay, so I want to make sure I have this longer leg, and you can open it a little bit if you need to. The longer leg is going to go in the same row or column, depending on how you're holding it, but in the same row where your resistor is. If it's in a different row, there's no power going to it. Remember, the power is coming into the resistor and traveling up here. So I'm going to put the positive leg in this exact same row as the resistor. And then the negative leg is going to jump across the ravine onto the other side. And you can really see that up here in the diagram. You see the resistor going to the positive leg. The electricity is going to travel up the positive leg down to the negative leg. And everything is in a nice straight row. And that ravine is separating the positive and negative leads so that we don't get a short circuit, which is where the electricity just doesn't have anywhere else to go and goes back into itself. All right, so now we are going to take another jumper wire and put it in the same row as that negative leg. Remember, that's the most important part, is that it's in the same row. And then this jumper wire is just going to come right there to the negative power rail. So remember that we started with positive and now we've jumped over to the negative side. Okay, then back over here at our microcontroller, we're going to put our last jumper wire in the negative power rail, anywhere as long as it's in the negative side. And now to make it a complete circuit, we need to put it in ground. Ground is abbreviated GND on your controller. So if you look up at the diagram, I see there's an empty hole, and then it's the 1, 2, 3, 4th pin. And I'm going to see that there's an empty hole, and that's the 1, 2, 3, 4th pin. And I see that it says GND on there. Okay, so now we're going to test it and see if we're right. You know you're right if after you plug it in, about 2 seconds later, it's going to light up. So let's find out. All right, so my blue light lit up right away, so I know I'm correct. The biggest problem people usually have is putting that LED in backwards. So if everything else looks right, just unplug, because you always want to unplug when you're working, and you can take that LED and flip it and see if that works. But right now I'm going to switch my resistor to the other resistor so you can see what a difference it can make. So I'm not changing anything about the placement. All I'm doing is using a different resistor. It lit up, but it's very, very dim. So if you're having trouble with seeing your light, maybe check and change the resistor. But again, if everything else looks right and it seems like it really should be lighting, see if you can take out that LED and flip the positive and negative legs, because that is almost always the problem. And you should have your lit up circuit. Thanks. Bye.